Hello and welcome to the Business Talk podcast. I'm your host Deepak. Let's extend a warm welcome to Professor Venkatesh Shankar as he joins us on our podcast. Professor Venkatesh Shankar is the Harold M. Brierley Endowed Professor of Marketing and Academic Director, the Brierley Institute of Customer Engagement, Kellogg School of Business, Southern Methodist University. He is also the chair of Marketing Accountability Standards Board's Advisory Council. His area of specialization include digital business, marketing strategy, innovation, new product management, retailing, services marketing, pricing, international marketing, branding, mobile marketing, and artificial intelligence. Professor Shankar has a Ph.D. in marketing from Northwestern University, Kellogg School of Management, and has corporate experience in the areas of marketing and international business development. He has worked in diverse countries. Recognized as an American Marketing Association Fellow and among the top 1% of marketing scientists globally, he brings expertise in customer engagement, digital business, marketing strategy, and retailing. He has been also a visiting faculty at Stanford University, MIT School of Management, INSEAD, Singapore Management University, SDA Bocconi, Chinese European International Business School, and the Indian School of Business. He is co-editor of the Handbook of Marketing Strategy and the author of Shopper Marketing. He has served as a research fellow of Northwestern University's Retail Analytics Council. In this episode, Professor Venkatesh Shankar shares profound insights from his research on creating a customer-centric culture, empowering teams to drive engagement. Professor Venkatesh Shankar, it is an honor and privilege to have you with us today.
My pleasure, Deepak. I'm honored to be on this show.
Thank you. Professor, how would you define a truly customer-centric culture in today's business landscape?
Thank you for this question, Deepak. When you talk about customer centricity, it literally means putting the customer at the center of your organization's efforts. So when you think about customer-centric culture, culture, as you know, starts with ideas, customs, social behavior within the organization. So when you think about customer-centric culture of an organization, you have to create that passion in all your employees to serve in the customer's needs and being laser focused on customer needs, wants, and solutions. It's a very hard thing to do. Most companies obviously start with customer needs when designing products and so on. But what happens is as the company starts building itself and growing and becoming more and more involved in its current set of products and so on and processes, somehow the focus and emphasis on the customer gets diluted and gets lost. And that's why a truly customer-centric organization is one that is continuously engaged in understanding customer needs, anticipating, more important, understanding than anticipating future needs of the customer, and then designing not only products and offerings, services and solutions, but also gearing the whole organization structure, processes, delivery around customer needs on a consistent and constant basis. So a truly customer-centric organization is a company which thinks, breathes, eats, lives, sleeps about customer needs, problem solutions.
Very insightful. Professor, why is it essential for companies to adopt a customer-first mindset, especially in highly competitive markets?
Yeah, as you can see, competition brings the best of companies in terms of catering to customer needs. So you mentioned the word mindset. Mindset is a very important part of customer centricity. Unless every employee in the organization is having the mindset that we exist as an organization because of our customers. Peter Drucker mentioned two important ingredients of an organization. One is customers and the other is innovation. So it goes back to the very existence of organization is owed to customers, and customers demand all our attention. And what happens in a competitive market is that customer needs, there are some pain points, there are some gaps, there are some holes, and some companies are able to fulfill that gaps or holes, as a result, there's more and more pressure on organization to increasingly cater to customer needs and do better than the competition. So that's why the customer-centric mindset is more evident in competitive landscapes.
What are the critical steps for fostering a customer first mindset within an organization?
It all starts at the top. So typically, let's take an example of an organization, Amazon. Amazon is a very good example of customer-centric organization. So if you recall, Amazon started in the mid-90s, 1994, as a e-tailer of books. So at that time, Jeff Bezos, the founder's goal was to make Amazon the largest bookstore on the planet, which means online we can offer endless variety of books, assortment, and try to cater to customer needs. And once it understood all the customer needs, trying to cater to them, it started redefining retailing in a sense of being completely oriented towards customer needs. That means allowing customers to return without too much of hassles. And then it replicated that model from books to videos, electronics, and so on. Today, Amazon is in more than a dozen industries, different spaces. You have AWS, Amazon marketplaces, you have Amazon devices. There are so many product groups and categories they are in, but the consistent theme across all of them is Amazon is rapidly focused on customers being customer-centric. That mindset that we have to solve any pain that the customer has in this space. And we have to be very, very diligent and attentive to that. That actually exemplifies a mindset of going with all-out approach to understand that customer pain points and then to try to fulfill those and cure those pains.
Professor, how can leaders set a tone for a culture that prioritizes customer satisfaction and loyalty?
Yeah, as you rightly pointed out, leaders are the ones who start that. As I mentioned in the Amazon example, started with Jeff Bezos, the founder and the leader. So it comes from top down. And once you start making this a priority for the entire organization, whether it is a chief marketing officer or is it a janitor in the company, all of the employees should be very gung-ho about serving the customer's needs and trying to understand every activity, every process, every decision that they take. What is the implication for customers? Are we adding value to customers? Are we solving customer problems? Are we creating new opportunities for customers to interact more with the firm? Are we reducing friction? Are we increasing convenience? All those questions really are important to start from the leadership. And of course, all the different layers of leadership has to imbibe this culture and the mindset. And once that is there, the whole organization starts organizing itself around the customer needs. And that's the essence of top-down leadership as well as a bottom-up leadership where everybody is focused on solving customer problems.
Professor, what tools or framework can be provided to employees to help them align their decisions with customer needs?
Oh, there are quite a number of frameworks available for companies to start thinking about being customer-centric. The first and foremost part of this framework is that every top employee, officer, executive has to be in tune with the customer needs. I'll give you an example. Microsoft, many of us remember, was a very product-centric organization until our current leader, Satya Nadella, took over. And they were product-centric organization in the sense that all the decisions were driven out of managing the product as a as a in a profit and loss account, which is okay from the financial point of view, but it was all about selling more of Windows, Microsoft Office, Xbox games. Once these products were developed, then all was about distributing, selling more to enterprises mainly and individuals, and then focus on sales efforts and try to come up with incremental improvements. But then when Microsoft realized that the whole market for all these productivity software and operating system software was changing rapidly because it was no longer a PC-centric market starting 10 years ago. All the other devices like mobile devices, you have tablets and devices as small as your smartwatches, smartphones. All of these started asking for different operating systems and different productivity software. So Microsoft's share of the PC-centric world, which is Windows share was more close to 80 to 85%, started shrinking to 15 to 20%. That's when the competition really woke Microsoft up. And then Microsoft started designing around customer needs. Now, that's what led to the development of Windows 365 and Office 365. All of these came about by better understanding that if we have to be successful in this new market, multiple devices, multiple operating systems, we have to blend in and offer the solution in different environments. That means we have to create different kinds of offering. And also that changed the business model. Now it's more subscription-based rather than seats or license-based. So using that example, you can clearly see one of the frameworks for starting is getting the top leadership to understand every aspect of customer needs that has changed over. So as part of that, I was fortunate to be doing a program for Microsoft, and one of the tasks was to get leading executives to spend time with the customers. And it doesn't matter whether you are in finance, accounting, or supply chain, any of the functions, unless leadership starts spending time with the customer, being in customers' shoes, we cannot start the customer-centric journey. And so that would be a good starting point. In fact, Satya Nadella mentions this in his book about customer empathy, that is empathizing from customers' point of view. So we have to put ourselves, the key decision makers in customer shoes, at every stage of the organization, processes and designs and product development, delivery, and try and make it as customer friendly and customer focused as possible. And that is not an easy task, but that calls for being very conscious about it. And once you start in the journey, Deepak, then you have to start putting other things in place, not only developing the product, but developing the delivery of the products, becoming omni-channel, making more customer friendly, using customer data. Didn't talk a lot about data. It's really analyzing deeply what your customer needs are, customer wants are, and customer transactions are with the company, and then try and develop more insights from that, and using that insight to develop more and more offerings and more services, and being closer and closer to the customer. So there is a framework or roadmap starting with, listening to the customer and spending time with the customer, collecting the data, analyzing the data, and continuously interacting with the customer to increase the value of the customers and have a competitive edge over rivals.
What are some common challenges companies face when trying to create a customer-centric culture?
As you can tell, this process is difficult because you have to be very nimble and towards customer changes in customer needs and wants. And so that means the primary challenge is as the organization becomes bigger and bigger, you become bureaucratic. and being less responsive to customers. So the first and foremost challenge is, organizing your company in such a way that it can respond quickly to changes in market needs and customer needs. So that means many tech companies call for flatter organizations. Many of them call for ease of communication across the layers of the companies, and also structuring activities around customer needs. So, for example, many companies start being one product company, and then they add more products, then create more divisions, and so on. And each division starts behaving like its own firm with its own P&L, a profit and loss account. And slowly they start removing themselves from the line of sight of customers. So you may have one single client in a business-to-business environment, for example, and if 3 or 4 units of the organizations develop different products, they're targeting the same customer, right? They all almost start working in silos. So first challenge is trying to identify possible silos in the organization and try to get them together to meet customer needs. I'll give you one example. I've done some work with Marriott organization, and Marriott today the Marriott Group has about 30 brands or so, starting from Ritz-Carlton at the top down to Fairfield Inn at the bottom. And what happens is that at the sales organization, every brand has its own sales organization, and they go to companies for corporate travel and conference or events travel, and they start selling them as silos, the same client. So it could be a Fortune 500 client, let's say a client like Apple, Walmart, and so on. And what happens is that then they are not really truly understanding the customer. So customer needs for hospitality may be a set of common needs. And so that gets lost. So because the company is not organized around this. So the Marriott realized that and started, connecting all the silos and so on, and moving towards a customer-centric account planning and account management approach. And that is one way to overcome that challenge of silos that can happen when you start growing the organization. Another opportunity or challenge, and I call it opportunity because whenever you say the word challenge, that creates an opportunity. Because you have diverse set of customers, whether you're in B2C or B2B, you can start to, if you're constantly analytical about it, collecting data, analyzing on the fly, and making improvements not only in your offerings but your service levels and solutions, then you can start to address that challenge, because it is challenging to keep personalizing, customizing offerings, because all these things add cost to it. And that's one of the reasons why companies try to avoid that, because if they have similar offerings, then they can benefit from economies of scale in terms of production or creation and also delivery. But in today's world, competitive world, more and more customers are getting used to getting personalized offers, right? Whether it's in the travel industry, whether it's in the software industry, whether even in the packaged goods industries, we have this almost everyday demand that the customer thinks that, company has data about me, why can't they make it more customized to my needs? And so one of the challenges, this is expensive and time consuming and effort intensive, but the technology is available. And with AI coming into the picture, you can make it faster, better, more efficient, and more customized to the customer. So these challenges also create the opportunities to be more customer centric today.
How can businesses ensure that customer engagement remains consistent across all touch points?
That's the challenge that is related to what I was talking about. Because when we talk about today's world, it's an omni-channel world. The customer is expecting seamless service, seamless convenience. The challenge for firms is to really anticipate what the customer needs are for across the touch points. How can we synergize across those touch points? That means how can we better understand the customer journey? So one of the things that companies will have to start doing is journey mapping, customer journey. So what is a typical customer journey in a category like, let's say, toothpaste, which is a consumer package or FMCG good? Or if you think about travel, what is a typical customer journey? Or in business to business services. So uh, if an organization is buying medical equipment, what is the customer journey looking like? What are the different touch points that the customer encounters today or potentially could encounter in the future? And how do they use it? So nowadays, it's very common that for a lot of product categories, shopping starts with a mobile device. Over 80% of the journey starts there. And that's a touch point that all companies will have to be present. So regardless of matter what companies, you have to have a mobile app, have a very strong mobile browser presence where people can research, search, and so on. And then there are other touch points. They may go back and forth for product. They may go from a mobile device to a physical encounter, maybe in a store or maybe in person with the salesperson. And then they may come back to another channel like a tablet, another touch point like a smart speaker. So we have to better understand the journey and the roles of the different channels and touch points at different stages of the journey. And once you know that, then you have to understand how to influence customer decisions across this journey, how to make it friction free, how to increase the convenience, increase the benefits, and create value for the customer, right? And that is one way to think about trying to integrate the touch points in this omni-channel journey. Of course, this is uh, an ongoing process for a lot of companies because there are different segments of customers. They use different channels and different orders, and companies would have to understand who their target segment is and are they catering to their customer journey and try and match their capabilities and their efforts to the needs of those segments.
Professor, are there specific strategies for aligning customer interaction in physical and digital channels?
Yes, there are different types of omni-channel synergies. For example, if you are primarily a, uh, a brick and mortar company, let's say you're Walmart in the US, primarily brick and mortar, mostly stores, but customer journey is such that they're using seamlessly online and offline. That's where Walmart has ramped up its online component. E-commerce is growing much faster. They're about 15 to 20% of its sales right now. So one way to integrate, the pandemic taught all the retailers, the brick and mortar retailers, the fact that customers now need to order from home online and pick up in store or get it delivered to them. So one way to think about is offer all these facilities or order online and return in store, right? That also creates opportunities for additional dollars to be spent in the store when some customer comes to return a product. So if you're a primary brick mortar, you have many of these opportunities to integrate online seamlessly and then increase the footprint in the customer and gain more share of the wallet. But if you're primarily online, so we call it direct to customer or digitally native companies, they start with online first, and they realize that customers want more convenience. They would like to go to a store. For example, a company like Warby Parker, which was a direct to customer retailer, sell eyewear. they heard from the customers would like to go and check out the glasses physically in a store. So they had to create a showroom where customers could come and check out. Although they weren't selling mostly from there, it's only for customers to try on and get a good feel of it. And then once they are satisfied, they go back online and order for the most part. Of course, there will be some sales in the brick and mortar too. So that's one way to integrate. Another way is offer some kind of a guide shop. For example, a brand like Bonobos, which is a direct to a customer company, digitally native, started with the online stores of menswear, uh, almost custom made trousers. And then they realized that you can have a guide shop, which means a shop where customers that can come in for some guidance and tips on clothing, on sizing, etc. So that's one way to create an omni-channel experience. And there are other innovations like uh, shop from any devices anywhere and so on. Particularly in clothing, customers want to try it. So the virtual tryouts, so that allows a mobile app to try out. Cosmetic makers do this. A lot of apparel companies do this too. So these are all ways in which you can seamlessly integrate a different channel and touch points. You could also use smart speakers to automate orders. Amazon tried to do that with Alexa. We could actually store repeat orders, for example, FMCG goods and consumer packaged goods that you might want to repeat very frequently. You could use the help of smart speaker, or you could use voice assistants to uh, really ask questions and answer it. Today, with generative AI and AI, you have many more possibilities of integrating across channels. You can be in store and be exposed to a kiosk. And if you find an item and it's not in store, you can use the kiosk to order. Or you can use the kiosk to view endless aisle virtually within the stores. So there are many ways of bringing all the different touch points and the channels together. And depending on where the company starts, companies have started to evolve, started to integrate. Of course, this is going to take a while, and it's a continuing journey for a lot of companies.
Professor, last question. How do you see customer engagement evolving in the future? And what role will a customer centric culture play in shaping the evolution?
Yeah, customer engagement is very key. In this day of age of diminished attention, particularly when you look at the future generations, the Gen Zs and the generation Alpha, the generation after Gen Zs. Most of them are digital natives, mobile natives, and you can say generation Alpha is AI natives because they have grown up with these. And it is very, very critical to engage these customers, right? With the rise in influencer marketing, the rise of platforms like social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, short video formats. Um, the attention span is low. People try to engage that limited time frame. So engaging the customer about your product or service, about a category, is very important because that is critical to customers purchasing and returning to make repeat purchases. So the challenge in customer engagement is to understand what the customer pain points are, what are the trigger points are in terms of motivation and interest, and search and purchase is very critical. That's where customer centricity helps, because that mindset of anticipating what customer needs are, where customer thoughts are, where customer motivations are, and following that and tailoring your not only offerings, but your entire organization around it becomes very critical. So customer-centric culture mindset is very critical in pursuing customer engagement. And customer engagement is very critical in getting the desired outcomes, which means acquiring a customer, retaining a customer, having customers increase spending, increase share of wallet, increase margins, upgrade, upsell the customer, cross-sell. All of these hinge on starting with customer centricity and focusing on efforts to improve and enhance customer engagement.
Listeners, thank you for joining us on today's episode with Professor Venkatesh Shankar, where he shared invaluable insights from his research topic, creating a customer-centric culture, empowering teams to drive engagement. Professor Venkatesh Shankar, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. Thank you for your invaluable contributions.
Thank you very much, Deepak. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.